Dimp Digital presents Idle Game Chat.
Cool.
Dredge. Captain your fishing trawler to explore a collection of remote isles and their surrounding depths to see what lies below. Sell your catch to the locals and complete quests to learn more about each area's troubled past. Outfit the boat with better equipment to trawl deep sea trenches and navigate to far off lands. But keep an eye on the time, you might not like what finds you in the dark. Game features: Unravel a mystery, captain your fishing trawler across a collection of remote isles. They've said the same thing twice there. Like, they've got to come up with a better way of doing that. Anyway, each with its own inhabitants, wildlife to discover, and stories to unearth. Dredge the Depths, scour the sea for hidden treasures and complete quests to gain access to strange new abilities. Study your craft, research special equipment and upgrade your boat's capabilities to access rare fish and valuable deep sea curios. Fish to survive. Sell your discoveries to the locals to learn more about each area and upgrade your boat to reach even more secluded locations. Fight the Unfathomable. Strengthen your mind and use your abilities to survive trips out in the water after dark. And that's the PlayStation Store for Dredge, which is what I played. This little smaller, what we'd call a palate cleanser title recently. And I know you were sort of sniffing around this Adcock, but haven't taken the plunge just yet. But maybe this will buoy you to do it, or maybe it'll be like, not for me. So I'll hand over to you. Any questions about Dredge? All in capitals as well, so very ominous.
In your face.
Yeah.
I think I must have watched the trailer for this, like when it was announced, and it kind of piqued my interest. I can't really remember a great deal about it. I guess my first question. Well, actually, I know you've been doing a few of these palate cleansers. You tend to do this, don't you? A little spate of them.
Yes.
So, I guess cards on the table. Do you know this developer? Played anything else by them?
No. I know that I think the publisher's Team 17, who I'm familiar with, but developer-wise, no. It was one of those games, I think like you, I saw a trailer for it many moons ago. Then reviews came out. Black Salt Games, yeah, I think it might even be their first game, and there's no history page that they've got. But yeah, so I saw a trailer of it, and then I remember the reviews coming in, and they're not actually that great. Well, they're 82, so it's not like 90s, and you're like, oh, where's that come from? Like a Hades, which really got that on my sort of map all those years ago. But it just seemed like it was getting a little bit of buzz. And I was like, oh, I'll put that on sort of the mental backlist. And anyway, so I finished Final Fantasy Rebirth much earlier this year, and I'm like, fuck, that was tough going through that big old bastard of a game. And I've just been through Cyberpunk as well, which was 90 odd, like two sort of 100-hour games back to back. I was like, I need to just have a rest. That's when I started doing these palate cleansers. So I looked through the list and chose a few. Some you've heard about, some are still to come in terms of the opinions. And Dredge popped up on this PlayStation Plus extra tier, I think it is. So I've got the premium tier. I think it's on the middle one in their little sort of Game Pass-esque type service. And I was like, you know what? Not probably going to buy that unless it's on sale, and it wasn't. And I've already got access to it. It's only gone on in the last few months, so it's not going to disappear anytime soon. I know it's fairly short, at least as my understanding. So why not? Like, it's on a list somewhere in my lists upon lists upon lists. So why not just chalk one off? And that was the reason why, really. It was one of those ones that I'd already mentally kind of earmarked one day, and then it just sort of fell into place. It was there. I was like, just download and play, and we're off. So that's how Dredge got installed, really. Other than that, I wouldn't have known about it unless the reviews were sort of hitting and seen that sort of initial trailer. I like these sort of games anyway. These sort of weird little, sort of like not a simulator, is it? But it's like go out and catch stuff, sell it, come back and sort of upgrade your boat, which we can get into and whatnot. It's got that sort of cycle, that addicting.
Well, that was my next question. Is what right? Couple of things.
Yeah.
What is the gameplay here? I'm guessing it's potentially like a fishing mini game.
Yeah.
Some puzzle elements, upgrading the ship, and then I'm guessing during the day you're just knocking around fishing. Yeah. When this night comes and these is it like Lovecraftian monsters or whatever start knocking around, do you have to? Can you just keep getting back early? How does this cycle work? Does it force you into night? Can you avoid night?
Oh, you can. I think I went through one full night once, completely by accident, and it's only because I was trying to find this, not a rare fish, but there's a very specific circumstance where it would come up. And I got it, and then it was like 1 a.m, which is quite late, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to get back to sort of the post in time. So you can absolutely avoid night. That's 100% doable. And the way the game works is that you control the boat. There's no walking around on land. When you hit like a little town, it's all menu based, or little, not menu, but you click the little face of the bloke you want to speak to, you go to the shopkeeper, it comes up, it's all interface like that. But you control the boat essentially, and you can go forwards, backwards, left, right, wherever you want to go. It's a nice like 3D sort of area for you to go around, quite big. And when you move forward, time moves as well. So that's how time goes. You could sit completely still and time won't go on. So it's not like a real-time game. It's all tied to your movement. When you fish also, and as you rightly said, there is like a fishing mini-game or a dredging sort of, or trawling mini-game. That ticks time on as well. The quicker you do the mini-game, the less time you'll spend in that sort of fast-sorted time zone. So that's how it kind of operates. Yeah, so you can avoid... I avoided night, like I said, 99% of the time, which is that one time I sort of got caught cold. And really what happens is there's like weird stuff that sort of comes out and tries to like ram your ship. You can upgrade your lights on the ship, which is only for use in the dark. And what that does, that allows you to see objects, like it will suddenly spawn a rock in basically that wasn't there previously. And the more powerful your light is, the more sort of warning you'll get, because you'll see it further out. So it's that kind of thing. You can't go like barreling round, because you'll start hitting rocks and eventually sink, keep smashing your boat up, and you start losing cargo as well. So yeah, that's the kind of base of it. Like movement is the key for time, so that chugs time along, and you can manage your time as best you can. How you sort of progress is that you upgrade your engine essentially. And that allows you to go faster, but the time ticks along at the same time that it usually did. So that's how they kind of give you progress in that state. And you can upgrade the lights, you can upgrade your storage, you can upgrade equipment to do, hook your fucking fish that are a bit deeper and whatnot. So there's a number of different upgrade options as well. But it's
interesting you say that. 'Cause I just assumed that all the story-based stuff happened from what you were doing at night, and it was more than just kind of gearing up in the day for the night. So that's interesting.
Yes, it's not like one of those games where I'm trying to think like where you prepare and then go out and do something. Like you do prepare a little bit, but it's not like the time's coming at night, the enemies are all going to attack. You've got to be ready. Like you can just avoid it altogether. So just time management, just being aware of how far you can get your boat to go before time runs out. It's quite generous with like areas that you can dock at. Like most islands, small islands, there's normally a little docking station there. Normally a random character that you bump into, and you might have a side quest and whatnot. They've got something for you to go off and do. But yeah, you can avoid it altogether. Mostly, I think there may be one instance where it's almost unavoidable, but it's only by a few hours. You won't be out 24 hours and whatnot. In fact, if you start doing that, that's when more of the stuff comes out. The longer you have to sort of rest. Like it's not a specific number, but your eye is like a little indicator at the top of the screen, this eyeball, and it starts to sort of get like really intense and like tired. And that's when you know it's like, right, I've got to get back and then dock, rest till dawn, and then I'll be refreshed and we'll be going out catching some trout.
Yeah, weekend off. 7 days a week.
Nah, no days off for the fisherman, mate.
I guess the fish don't stop, do they?
I mean, you could just do nothing. You could just drive around if you wanted to, but you won't be getting your funds. Like, there's no like upkeep on the boat either. The way they sort of make out in that it was like fish to survive. And I was like, well, you could just drive around for days. Like, there's no like money ticking away or food or resource to manage. There's none of that to worry about. So you haven't got to be as urgent as it kind of makes out in that little spiel there. It's do what you like, basically, progress at your own pace, and do as you see fit.
And I'm guessing from that marketing page you just read that it's a bit of a mystery, so you might have to kind of walk on eggshells here. But what is going on? Like, what is the story? Is it good?
It's one of those where really, did I understand it? No. It's a bit weird for weirdness' sake, in my opinion.
Yeah,
like, it's got a nice atmosphere, but like, as to what's going on, I was a bit like, I don't really get this. And even like once I'd finished it, I was like, all right, I guess whatever that was, whatever that was, I'm fine. I don't really understand it. I didn't really think about it. That's definitely a weakness. Like, this kind of setup for being a mystery and whatnot, I was just like, don't really know what's going on. I just know it's fucking weird. And there's stuff that's happened that shouldn't be happening, but I don't know why. Don't know who. Don't know what this weird little set of islands is. But it's one of those ones where it's a bit too pretentious, maybe. Or maybe I wasn't paying attention. Or maybe the way it's delivered doesn't really suit my needs. Do I need it spoon-fed? I don't know. But I found that to be a weakness personally. That's the one thing. I wasn't really engaged with the main story and quests and like the narrative around it. Like, it's kind of weird and cool, but like, there's no grounding.
And how is it even told? Is it through the characters or stuff you find, or both?
It's a bit of both, yeah. So you might find like you fish out a trout, and then you'll fish out like a mutated trout, and it's got some weird goo on it, and you're like, what the fuck's that? It's like, I should take this back to the fishmonger so you can have a look at it, and he's like, oh yeah, sort of alluding to something, and they're really telling you what it is. And then, so you kind of pick up pieces like that. Then there's directly a person who's giving you like main quests essentially. Off on like a little collectathon. So, once you've kind of rounded that area of it, you're kind of ready to wrap up the game when you want to. But you can carry on for as long as you want, and there's no penalty to that. There's no urgency behind it. But through characters and whatnot, and some of the bits you sort of find and pick up.
How long is this game?
So I spent, my PlayStation's got it locked at 10 hours. So you could do it quicker. Like, if you just mainlined the main sort of quests from the main person, you could do it quite quickly. But I did actually spend a lot of time upgrading the ship. Like, I got snarled up for at least 2 hours just focusing on that. Yeah, I wanted to get this because essentially, like, when you can put different rods into the boat, but it's like a Resident Evil inventory management. So your storage has got like little cubes and whatnot. Everything's got a shape. So you kind of like, and you can only put your rods in certain parts. You can only put your engines in certain parts, and they're sort of filtered off. Right. So you can't take everything you'd ever want out on each trip. But what I wanted to try and do is get like the right number of rods to be able to fish in all the sort of medium depths, and then the right trawler for all the deep stuff, so I could get good coverage of any sort of fishing area I come across. I could fish it, because if you haven't got the right trawler or the right fishing rod, you can't fish it. So there's different, like, I guess it's based on depth. There's like a coastal depth, and there's like a super deep depth, and there's like a medium depth, and each rod and each trawler will only be able to do like 2 or 3 of those. So it's kind of a bit of a management about what sort of fish you need to go and get, where you're going. You might want to think about what you take out. So I got snarled up trying to upgrade so I could get like more powerful rods that had like the extra sort of depth that my previous one didn't have. But yeah, you don't have to do all that stuff. The main stuff you need to really get through the game is the engines, just so you can get sort of further out without it going dark. But like I said, you can manage just riding around in the dark. It's just a bit harder, and you might get fucked up by something. So it's just whether you want to take the risk or not.
Nice. All right, I get it. And I mean, technically, I guess it's not going to be pushing anything on that PS5.
No, PS5 was fine. Sort of might have even been chucking out cold air for this one. It really wasn't struggling at all. No bugs, no crashes, nice and clean. I mean, the game's over a year old now, I think. So at that stage, it's been patched and whatnot. But technical front is fine. Like, it's decent, like little art style. People can look up what it looks like, and it fits the world, it fits the narrative, it kind of fits the theme, it fits the simplicity of the game. So pretty impressed on that front. Nice little soundtrack, little eerie soundtrack going on, and little mini games to keep you ticking along as well.
Anything to go back for?
There is DLC. This is my problem with the subscription game, isn't it? I don't want to buy a DLC for a game I don't own. You've got it's something called the Blackstone Key, which is like more of a content drop. Like it unlocks a shed. It looks like on one of the islands. There's like this little shed that you can't get in, and that's the key for that. Yeah. So I don't know what's in it. I didn't bother reading it up. Then you've got the Pale Reach, which is like a new biome to go and visit. So I think that unlocks like a new depth or new like ice fishing and things like that. From what I've looked at. And depending on when this goes out, probably within time, there's another DLC coming, I think in August. Something to do with an oil rig, from what I've looked at. But really, like once I was done with the game, I was like, I could go back and hunt for side quests, but there's no like map markers and stuff. You've got a map that you sort of manually can pin things on. But I'd have to sort of go to every island, check every nook and cranny. There was one where you've got to go and get all the fucking most rare fish, so you've got to really know about the depths, really know about the time. Some only come out at night. There's all this sort of, and I was like, I don't really need to be doing that. Like that's not. I've done a few of the simple ones where it was like get X amount of this sort of medium fish to get, but the ones where it was like they only come out once a year, like when on the third lunar moon, I was like, I can't be hunting around looking for that, unfortunately. But I didn't personally. Once I'd done, I think I did about 70% of the side stuff as well, and that's because it's like a board basically where it shows all your quests, and I could see there were just gaps. I was like, I've clearly missed a few things, but I did anything I run across that wasn't ridiculous, I went for. It's called the Iron Rig, the new DLC, so people want to look out for that. But I don't think once I'd done it, I was like, I could probably scuttle around for another hour or two, but I was kind of like 10 hours. I was like, I'm done. Like, I've got to the end of this and had like a decent enough time. No need to struggle through trying to like max out the game. Just walk away and we'll both say our goodbyes.
All right. Anything else you want to cover off before we go to scores?
How are you feeling right now about it? Based on, because I know this was kind of like semi-radar for you.
I'm honest, I'm going to go back and watch another trailer or some gameplay because I knew I was interested, and it is basically what I thought, pretty much what you're saying. So I'm curious to know where it scores. Really, I guess this is where it's going to hinge on because.
Yeah, I did like the fishing mini games. Like it's really simple. Like you've got a little cursor and there's like a round circle like going round and round, and you've got a time like pressing X at certain points, but like little markers you've got to hit. And like if you miss it, it'll reset the reeling in. So then obviously you're losing time at that point. So it's nice and simple, easy to pick up. There's some other ones for different trawling types where you've got to move the cursor up and down and avoid these like little black cogs that are on each side. So it's sort of like up, down, down, up, down, up, and it's sort of spinning around, gets faster and faster. Yeah, and the way in which you kind of discover where to fish, I didn't mention that, is that there's bubbles just in the water. So nice, easy visual. You haven't got to be like, I'll just cast that air and hope for the best. Like, no. If you want to get resources, you can see like wood floating. It's got some bubbles next to it. So it's like, right, I can drag that out. And if you want the fish, you can go over to the bubbles and it'll say, yes, you've got the right rod. Little shape of the fish, which you'll learn to understand what type it is. So if you're looking for a specific type, you can get it. But yeah, nice.
Hang on, so would it not even let you start? So basically, if you go out of your rods and you haven't got the right one, will it not let you even start the mini game if it's wrong? Or so you won't start it and then you can't win it.
No, it won't. Right. It won't do that, fortunately, because that'll be a blower if she was like sitting there going, "Why is nothing biting? Like, why is this thing not happening?" And I just said you haven't got the right rod, and it's like, okay, that's fine. But yeah, nice. They do the job, quite well implemented, simple, but I don't want a big stressful fishing game worrying about tension in this. That's not the game for me. I would like to play a game like that, but not in this context. Like
you could have a little VR fishing game. Does that exist? Must do.
Probably, but real thing. But then
just
again,
fishing really.
Well, no. The thing at the VR thing, the game would be set up so you cast out and then just skip to buy it, I guess, rather than wasting like a week and getting nothing. the game can just sort of fast forward, can't it? Whereas you're sort of stuck there. Don't know if your bait's fallen off when you've cast it out. That's happened. I've done it before, reeled in, there's been nothing on it. I was like, how many hours has that been sitting there with no boilies on it? And it's like, well, we'll never know. But yeah, I'm sort of must be like a VR type game out there. I don't know. When VR started being a thing, I thought we'd get like all the peripherals, like rods, like just as an example, there'd be like a tennis one. There'll be. It's just sort of fizzled out, isn't it? It's sort of become like a really niche, like enthusiast product, and then. You never got one, did you, a VR? Or did you get...
I had the PSVR,
yeah. Not a great first impression, is it?
No. I feel like I'm still... I always find myself having a look at even the PSVR 2, just the price is ludicrous. It's more than the console.
Yeah.
But I feel like it peaked with that Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah.
That wasn't even on PlayStation. And then no one else has made anything... I don't know. Not that I know that game, but I feel like that must have had a decent budget, by a decent company, resources put to it, and that's never been matched. It's always really small, like little experiences that are probably all right still, but it's a lot of money to be paying for that, really.
Yeah. There's another... Like, Biff really liked The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. That's got quite a good little bit of buzz, like zombie VR, pretty well implemented. Okay. But yeah, you're right, it's just not enough content really, is there? To like, you couldn't just play VR. You'd have to just sort of be like, right, 1 game, 2 games a year max that come out that are worth playing, and then do something else. But yeah, I don't think Dredge will make its way to VR anytime soon. I don't think it's really got that appeal, so we don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I don't think there's anything else from me. You've
all right, well, let's grab the keys. Well, let's turn up at the gallery. What are we doing?
I mean, it could go in self-storage.
What I understand is, that's it. There's that self-storage. Doesn't get unlocked often.
No, it doesn't. It's not going to go in the self-storage. I think it's good enough to go somewhere in the gallery. And in terms of the rating, the grading, the accolade, a nice solid bronze. Sort of on the lower end, but when you got a story there that I'm just sort of shrugging shoulders at and feeling like empty, I'm like, well, that sort of kills off any sort of higher rating. I mean, it is what it is. I don't expect Oscar-worthy narrative or, Last of Us sort of dual protagonist storytelling going on, but something that actually was a bit easier to follow and it just wasn't that interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it is kind of, it should be, because it's like weird, like, not sci-fi, but like, what is it, Lovecraftian sort of like creatures under the water, like weird stuff you're pulling out, weird like locals that are like backward. It's got all that sort of those trappings that would be, you'd think would be pretty good, but just didn't come together for me. But everything else, solid. So doesn't go in any self-storage or didn't get put in the botchling bin. I got through it fairly easily. It's not taxing. It's like one of those... We talk about the palate cleanser. It's like you don't want to be sitting there stressing.
Which I thought maybe I thought you'd be forced into that night, and that is where the stresses would begin. So it's interesting that it doesn't happen that way.
The challenge does ramp up in terms of like... There's like areas where the fish will like attack you even at night, like the surface fish. Right. So that can get a bit annoying, but you're given sort of tools to counteract that. And your boat's not very resilient. Like you smack it 3 times into a rock, it will sink. And also, what I quite like actually is on the deck, it's got like I said, you've got each square for whatever you've put on there. Like you might put some wood there for repairants, and you might have like 4 fish that are sort of stacked up on the top left-hand corner. When your boat hits somewhere, it sort of recognises where on the boat you've hit it, and it will damage that square. So if you've got cargo in that square, you'll lose it, it'll go overboard. I was like, that's quite a nice little... So actually, you put your valuable stuff towards the centre, which makes sense. And I was like, that's a nice little detail that I wouldn't have even thought of adding, but I quite liked that. Still annoying when I sort of lost something quite valuable because I just didn't realise that to start with. So, but yeah, it's you're quite lightweight, so you can get put down fairly quick, but it's not too difficult. Like it doesn't really push back too much. It doesn't want you to be dying all the time. So therefore, you might do it by accident a couple of times, but you'll soon learn your lesson. And it's when you're herring around trying to like slalom through rocks really quickly that you get caught out. If you just was sensible and went round them, you'd never have that problem. But sometimes you get in a bit of a rush.
To be fair, sounds like the perfect palate cleanser. Cheap, aka free.
Well, if you've got that service, it is, yeah.
8 to 10 hours, bronze. There you go.
If you want to buy it natively, it's 20 UK pounds.
Too much. Won't do that.
I won't say either or, but that's just for information purposes. But yeah, it's on PlayStation Plus Extra at the moment. I don't know if it's on Game Pass, but they seem to appear in everything eventually, these games. So bide your time, get it at full price or wait for a sale. I mean, there's always a sale going on these digital stores. So Dredge, bronze. Close it down. Have I convinced you or unconvinced you? Still on the fence. It's all worse. That's the worst outcome.
I wanted to hear a silver, and then I would have been like, I'm done. I'm in. But I mean, I knew it would be bronze or silver. I just,
If you don't care, like if you're happy not to be
but I think a good story here would have been what sold me. I want to know what's going on, and that would intrigue me.
Maybe.
So in fact, well,
who knows? You might pick it up and go, "Cool, he's missed all the signs there, and look at this."
Unlikely,
it's
mate.
Stephen King, like he's not read all the books. Clearly influenced by that, but there we go. Anyway, Dredge gets himself a bronze. We will close down this particular episode as usual. Nothing more for us to say other than thanks for your time and ta-da.
This was a Dimp Digital production.